go out to the St. Louis area for this week's edition of the Pro Bowlers Tour.
Live for the 20th consecutive year, ABC Sports presents the Pro Bowlers Tour. Today, the championship round of the $110,000 Rolaids Open, where these 5 bowlers will compete for the $16,000 first prize. In 5th place from Comac, New York, seeking his first PBA title, Tom Lasko. In 4th place from Somerset, Massachusetts, looking to end a 4-year absence from the winner's circle, Paul Moser. In 3rd place from Dublin, California, the man named Bowler of the Decade for the 1970s, Earl Anthony. In 2nd place and making a record 5th consecutive appearance in the championship round, Mark Roth. And the tournament leader from Buffalo, New York, looking for his 2nd PBA title, Steady Tom Baker. In the shadows of the great Gateway Arch that looms high above the mighty Mississippi is St. Louis. Since the 1930s, St. Louis has been known as one of the hotbeds in bowling in America. One of the first great St. Louis bowlers was Nelson Burton Sr., father of my colleague, and like his son, a fierce head-to-head competitor. Next in line was Don Carter, voted the greatest bowler of all time and the owner of every major bowling title. Another member of these great teams that emerged from St. Louis was the late Pat Patterson, a true gentleman who gave so much in helping the sport to grow. There was also Ray Bluth, past president of the Professional Bowlers Association and a member of its Hall of Fame. And who could ever forget Tom Hennessy, a great clutch bowler whose nerves were like steel in the final frames. And here's a familiar face, Dick Weber, the holder of 26 PBA titles, who is our host today and still a threat in any tournament he enters. And last but not least, Nelson Burton Jr., shown here in more youthful days, and still as competitive now as he was then. And these are the Dick Weber lanes. Beautiful spot. We're back here for the 6th year for the Rolaids Open. It's incidentally our 6th stop on the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast, and I'm Chris Schenkel, wishing all of you a happy Valentine's Day. We have 5 great bowlers today. A couple of lefties and the rest righties, and there's one bowler in particular in the field that has a hot hand. He's been phenomenal. 5 tournaments that he has competed in, he has made the finals 5 times. He won the Rolaids in '76 and again in '79. And my colleague in his hometown is with him right now. So let's join Nelson Burton Jr. at this moment. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. Mark, 5 for 5. Greatest start anybody's ever had on the Pro Tour this year. Is there any particular reason for the tremendous start?
I really don't know, Bo. I just want to bowl good this winter so I could take off time during the summer.
Well, you know you're going to be on ABC this summer for 21 weeks.
Well, the rest of the time I want to spend some time at home.
Mark, you've only won 1 title. You've been on 5 times. 4 opens in the championship round last week. Why only 1 title? We figured you'd win more than that.
So did I, but, some bad breaks last week. I just, had no feeling for the ball, and I didn't bowl well at all.
Well, Mark bowls real well on this pair of lanes at Dick Weber's, and Chris, he should be a threat today.
Okay, gentlemen, so today our 5 and our live coverage here from Florissant, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. They're bowling for the winner's share, $16,000 of the total purse of $110,000. 9 for 2nd, 6, 5, $4,500 for 5th. In our first match, Tom Lasko of Long Island going against Paul Moser of New England. Stay tuned.
We asked Roger Staubach to find out how people spell relief.
How do you spell relief?
For acid indigestion, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For heartburn, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids really does spell relief.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
How do you spell relief?
For acid indigestion, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Where can you find someone to service all the parts of your car with the know-how and equipment to check wheels, brakes, engine, suspension, almost everything? Someone who'll give you a written estimate and fix only what you want fixed. Firestone Car Service. That's where. 24,000 Firestone Car Service bays are waiting to serve you. For this week's specials, check your newspaper.
How do you grow a great cigar? Master planter Ralph Merrill knows. Plant special Dutch Masters tobacco seedlings in a fertile valley. Control the searing sun with clouds of special cloth. And wait. Now select only the best leaves and harvest them all by hand. That's how Ralph Merrill grows a great cigar. Like the Dutch Masters Panetella. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
On the Pro Bowlers Tour, we are here for the first match, live coverage, Florissant, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. Our first match, Tom Lasko, a 29-year-old professional from Comac, New York, and he's looking for his first win, whereas Paul Moser, at home, we're looking in the striped shirt, 5'4", 150 pounds, has 2 titles to his credit. He hasn't been on for a while, and he's so anxious to get back in the winning ways. He's 33 years old, average 218.5. He'll be shooting on the left lane in this house of 32 lanes, Bo.
Chris, we're bowling on a lacquer surface this week where the ball doesn't break quite as sharply as we've seen in previous weeks.
And the left-hander leaves the 6-pin on the left lane. And to bring you up to date just a little more on what's going to happen here on our live telecast, the winner of this first game will meet Earl Anthony. And then the winner of that second match will meet Mark Roth, and so on down the line till we get to the tournament final. Our tournament leader, Tom Baker, waiting in the wings now to cover the 6-pin. Spare for Moser. Born in Brockton, Massachusetts, now bowling out of Somerset, nearby Somerset in Massachusetts. Now, the man that qualified 5th for today's championship round, Tom Lasko, 5'10", 145 pounds. Starting out with a bang. He is not intimidated. In fact, we asked him about it earlier.
I don't feel intimidated at all. I had a very good shot all this week. I feel confident, and I feel I can win this tournament.
Well, his best showing has been 18th in the PBA National Championship in Detroit in 1980. Has been a regular on the tour since 1975. So, Nelson, this is a big thrill for him today, however far he goes.
Chris, his best finish so far has been 18th in his career, but he bowled so well during the week, and he has a lot of experience. He's bowled in that New Jersey area with such tough players as Roth and all those players up in the east.
Well, he has left the 6'9", this aircraft technician, having attended the Farmingdale Academy of Aeronautics.
To set up the championship pair, it's 21 and 22 here at Dick Weber Lanes, and it's more about what we call a track condition on the right side. There's a worn area between the second and third arrow, as the lanes are about 15 years old here, and the players must keep it in that area.
A little shaky, but nonetheless, it is a spare for Lasko in the second frame. Open with a strike. And now, Paul Moser, who marked with a spare, now shooting in the second frame. First game, if you just joined us, we're live in Florissant, Missouri. Powerful strike by the southpaw.
Paul Moser, stocky and strong, very short, has a tremendously smooth arm swing, locked all the way. Look at that elbow, a little above shoulder height, and a good follow-through. Now watch his follow-through. Very little break at that elbow at all. That's a good way to discipline your arm swing all the way through the shot.
Paul was very upset that he hadn't cashed in 5 tournaments this year. Well, it's going to be different today, because even the player that finishes 5th or loses this match will get $4,500. A big double and the lead by 10-10. Lasko, Comac, New York, is up. He's earned about $3,000 this year. In his career, only $26,158. Third frame. Very good. So, will we have some high scores today?
Chris, 21 and 22 at Dick Weber Lanes has always been a good scoring pair. Here you see Tommy Lasko, just an ideal push away, locked arm swing, very much like Paul Moser. Shoulder high, look at the body position, absolutely perfect. The deep knee bend and follow through straight to the target. Well, that's a beautiful profile. This young man's got a good future in a game of bowling. Trails by 10, fourth frame.
Win today would make him eligible for prestigious Firestone Tournament of Champions. Nose and left the 3-10.
I think if any of the right-handed players are going to have a trouble on the pair, it's going to be with lane 21, the left-hand lane. As you can see, it's not too tough, the baby splitter 310 for the pros, but lane 21 does not finish quite as well as 22, and they have a tendency to point the ball up towards the pocket. The reason it doesn't finish is the lay of the wood in the pine area, down about 35 feet. It's some hard wood, and it doesn't break very much.
So the bachelor from New York goes to the line. Nope. Open frame. Coming in the fourth for Lasko. We're going to take a break and then return to more live action.
Of all the pickups on the market today, one is leaving the others behind. It's the leader, Ford, with the best gas mileage ratings of all the American-built pickups that can carry a big 2,500-pound payload, with more six-cylinder torque than any of them, too. And as for the imports, Ford's got them in roominess as well as payload. And now check out Ford's base price compared with the little imports. Yes, for total value, Ford carries them all. It's America's best-selling pickup. Come in now and check out the deals during your Ford dealer's big leadership celebration.
When I was coaching, I was the boss. I used to feed them, dress them, get them to bed on time. Now I treat them to our favorite beer, right?
Light beer from Miller.
Light's got a third less calories than the regular beer. And what else?
It's less filling, Red.
And they really like the taste. Another beer, anyone?
Yeah.
What's the magic word? Please.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Eusebio Pedrosa, WBA World Featherweight Champ. Patrick Ford, fourth-ranked contender. The WBA World Featherweight Championship is next. Plus America's sensational alpine team and women's World Cup skiing. All on ABC's Wide World of Sports next.
Excitement on Wide World. Pedrosa against fourth-ranked Ford, WBA World Featherweight fight, and the American ladies doing well in West Germany. World Cup skiing, and Frank Ellenberg finished 60 as our alternate. He's a man that helps us behind the scenes on telecasts when he hasn't made the finals, Bo.
Good-looking bachelor, almost made the top 5. Bowled great this week. It looks like he's got his stroke back.
Looking for 3 in a row, Moser. Oh, what a beautiful hit. We talked earlier with Paul about his not winning in 20 months.
Well, Bo, I haven't won in 4 years, but I finished second 5 times in the past 4 years. I had some real close ones with Mark in the fall one time. I lost 258, 257. I feel like I have my game back together again, and I'm ready to go today.
Well, 4 years is a lot more than 20 months. Didn't have to use my calculator, Bo, on that one. Sorry about that.
He's well on his way. He has a turkey working and could increase his lead to 42 pins, 5th frame.
Ooh, that one did not come up, and awesome 1-3 staring him in the face on the left lane.
The nemesis of all the pros. There's his wife, Debbie, Chris, who is a 170 average bowler, and she helps Paul White quite a bit with his bowling, and she knows he just lost that shot completely. That's just like an errant golf shot. Forget the shot, come back, make the easy 1-3 spare.
He opened with a spare in the first frame, then he had 3 in a row, and now trying to cover the 1-3. Stuck at the line. He was a little concerned that he might go over it. Paul Moser, proud of the fact he was born in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Tom Lasko, another one of those products from up east, bowls down there at the famous Paramus bowling lanes where Roth also bowls, and he's an experienced player. He's been behind before. He knows he can throw the big string, so he's not out of the match yet.
5th frame. To 7, as the winner of this match will meet the great Earl Anthony.
The lefties and the righties have both had a good shot at Dick Weber lanes this week. And as history has said it, there's been a very equal condition for all players on the tour. The trajectory of the ball for even the lefties and the righties is right down the second arrow, almost just like we teach it in the tips.
And the tip today, incidentally, will focus in on concentration. And that's exactly what these two professionals are doing in our first game head-to-head. And there you see the 30-pin difference. Moser in the lead, Lasko trailing at this point, but plenty of frames left.
The lane surface that we play on this week, we alluded to a little earlier, is a lacquer. We don't see many lacquer surfaces. They're more urethanes. And on the lacquer, most of the players prefer to use the rubber ball, as both players are out there using today, and it seems to roll a little truer. Good tip for the amateur at home: rubber on lacquer, plastic on urethanes.
And another high hit, leaving the 3-6-10 on the left lane, as Lasko's opponent, Moser, just sort of looks away.
Lasko, an excellent arm swing, usually doesn't get in too much trouble, but he's having a little trouble with the left lane because he will not trust the ball. They have a tendency, when a lane's a little tighter, to pull the ball up to the pocket. He has to stay down at the line.
Spare in the 6th for Lasko of Comac, New York. Capacity crowd here at the lanes, owned jointly by Bob Temme and Hall of Famer Dick Weber. And great hosts for the Rolaids Open, as they have been 5 previous years. Oh, 7-9.
A split we don't see very often because the left-handers usually have an outside line out near the channel and get a sharp break at the pocket. But on this particular shot, Paul Moser left the 7-9. It's almost like the 8-10 for the right-hander. Moser hits the foul line pretty good there, but didn't hit that solid, smooth follow-through.
Well, he thought he might get lucky. Giving him 125 through the 6th, it's an open. And, of course, that cuts his lead to 20 pins. Paul Moser, of Austrian ancestry.
Paul, like many of the pros, has his wife on his tour, and his wife, Debbie, an excellent bowler with a 170 average, often helps him with his game. It's nice to have somebody along who loves you, but also can give you a little coaching along the way at the same time.
Magic 4-letter word here on Valentine's Day.
A little love.
Yeah, you got a little love here today, Sissy. One daughter. 6-10 now.
Moser's just rolling that ball at the foul line. As we noticed earlier in the match, he had a spare 3 strikes. He was lofting the ball about 12 inches over the foul line, and he was doing that with the lift of the wrist. Now he's just kind of quitting on the ball, rolling at the line. It won't hold pocket.
Oh, it must have been great growing up in the St. Louis area, as you did.
A lot of heritage, a lot of great bowlers in this area.
So Paul Moser, Somerset, Massachusetts, marks for the spare in the 7th, and he leads by 20. We'll be back.
Every professional bowler has an arsenal of his own, special weapons for special lane conditions. Now, you can have your own arsenal in just 2 bowling balls from AMF. The AMF 3-Dot Classic in hard rubber for normal lane conditions. And now the AMF 3-Dot Classic in soft rubber for lanes that demand more traction. Hard rubber 3-Dot, soft rubber 3-Dot. The arsenal from AMF.
You can help your hard-earned dollars go farther with the values in True Value Hardware Store's Dollar Days Circular. For just $1, you can choose values like a GE Long Life 3-way bulb, a tube of instant crazy glue, this pack of 2 Duracell AA alkaline batteries, 2 Easy Painter 9-inch roller covers, or 2 boxes of True Value coffee filters in the new Dollar Days Circular from participating True Value Hardware Stores and home centers.
Hi, I'm Joe Hutchinson, and next week the Pro Bowlers Tour travels to Peoria, Illinois for the $125,000 AMF Magic Star Open. I won that tournament a year ago, and if I can survive the qualifying competition, I hope to try to win the $20,000 top purse. So join ABC Sports for coverage of the championship round next Saturday live at 3:30 Eastern Time.
Okay, we look forward to watching Joe and hundreds of other bowlers trying to successfully defend his championship. And Bo, although I have grown up in the Midwest, live there now, I've never been to Peoria, and I can't wait.
It's going to be a great town, and you notice Joe Hutchinson went to his power there on that promo shot, tripping that 6-pin.
Lasco. 7th frame, a spare working, leaving the 10-pin. This is our first match, the winner to meet Earl Anthony.
Lasco seems to have settled down. That was definitely his best shot in the match. 7th frame. He only trails by 21. As you know, in a game of bowling, that can change around in just 1 or 2 frames. The key is going to be if he can hit the left-hand lane. He's been very close on the right-hand lane, been high in the pocket on the left-hand lane every shot.
Now, very much cross lane, left-right for the 10. And Palmer Faldrin, our statistician, marks the 7th frame box with a spare.
Here's the profile of Tommy Lasco. Really a nice style. See that good push away. Watch this straight arm swing with that locked elbow right at shoulder level and right next to his leg. Notice how close his arm came to that left foot. That's where you get the consistency, leverage, and accuracy. Perfect shot. Nice. Well done, Tommy.
Very methodical, checking his position, concentrating. Well, 2 held the 5 up. 2 pins, that is.
Made a good shot, though. We talked about him making a little adjustment on the approach. He moved his feet about a board left on the approach and made a shot that he thought would finish. But as we said, the grain of the wood down there in the pine area, about 35, 40 feet down the lane, does not allow the left-hand lane to break that much. As you see, he improved his average quite a bit this week, 217 for the 42 games.
Although Tom has not won on the tour, he's a winner in the 79 American Bowling Congress Classic Team Championships in Tampa, Florida. Here's a man that's won 2 PBA titles, 33 years of age, going to make his first money of the year bowling right here today. Oh, a 6-pin on the right lane.
Paul doesn't play much hook, and he likes the lanes a little slick like they are today, where he can go directly at the pocket. Doesn't have to give the ball much room because he has a little pull in his swing. As you notice, he comes from the top of his swing. He cuts across it just a little bit. He's learned to live with it, and he's always been a contender.
Eighth frame. We're in St. Louis, a city that's over 200 years old. And, Bo, when you stop and think about that, Detroit was just a clearing, and Chicago had a few cabins along the big lake. That gives you an idea. This was a thriving area for commerce 200 years ago. Lewis and Clark went west from here. I love this area.
Well, thank you, Chris. We're glad to have you here. The Mississippi River, definitely the lifeblood of the St. Louis area. Moser, 9th frame, leads by 21 pins.
Frame, a big strike, much to the delight of Paul and Debbie. Let's see it again.
Moser just jammed it solid in the 1-2 pocket. No doubt about this one. Crunch. Lasco, 9th frame, trails by 21. Has a chance for a 2:03 game. Moser's working at 2:04 pace.
Beautiful strike. Only his 3rd strike in this first game, the winner to meet Earl Anthony.
As the scoreboard shows, Tommy Lasco is going to have to reach back for everything he's got. He trails by 21. He's coming up on his tough lane, the left-hand lane. He has not had a strike on this lane. Made a good shot in the 8th frame, but he needs at least 1 here in the 9th to have any chance at winning the match. With 2 strikes, he would put the pressure on Moser.
Man that spent 6 years in the Reserve Air National Guard, Tom Lasco, Comac, New York. Leaving the 4 6.
The demise of Tommy Lasko, the left-hand lane. He pulls the ball up a little high, tried to make the adjustment, jam in the pocket. Unfortunately, gets no good pinfall, leaves the 4-6. He bowled well this week. 42 games, is going to take home a really nice check, and Moser's going to go on to meet the number 3 player, the very tough Earl Anthony.
So Lasko in losing $4,500. Let's pause a few moments to hear these messages from some of the people who are bringing you this week's stop on the Pro Bowlers Tour.
The Pro Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Rolaids. For acid indigestion or heartburn, millions spell relief, R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaids spells relief. And by Firestone, makers of the 721 steel-belted radial. In 78 years, Firestone has never built a tire in which they've had more confidence.
All right, Paul Moser finishing that first game. Lasko, his opponent, with a 171, and Moser with a 192, and 4 strikes along the way. So, in our next match, it's going to be Earl Anthony meeting Paul Moser as the Pro Bowlers Tour will continue after this message.
But can't breathe.
You didn't take your contact, did you?
No.
And you were going to work today. That's my man. Keep going.
Charge.
You choose. Label says take this, but only when you stay home. Take this, and you'll need 6 for just today.
6?
Or take this one little contact.
That settles it. But what's this improved?
That's good. Means you'll get all their decongestant without their pain and cough things.
I'll phone you from the office.
Contact is the keeps-you-going cold medicine.
Hello.
When you reach age 55, you'll want it. By Kemper. Because drivers your age or older are among the safest on the road. So the cavalry wants you. Kemper offers drivers 55 and over up to a 10% discount now and guaranteed renewal at age 60 and beyond if you've been with us for the 5 previous years. For auto discounts and guaranteed renewal, call out the cavalry. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
Russia as you've never seen it. A 5-part special assignment next week on ABC's World News Tonight.
Live coverage of the Professional Bowlers Tour. Paul Moser of Somerset, Massachusetts, 4 strikes, 192. Ousting Tom Lasko, who shot a 171. $4,500 for Lasko, and now 2 left-handed professionals. Moser going against Earl Anthony.
Chris, and there's a little strategy in this match. Anthony, the higher finisher in the 42 games, likes the left-hand lane, the lane that Moser's starting on, so he wants to finish the 10th frame on the left-hand lane, hopefully to put the pressure on Moser. First stroke, Paul Moser.
So now Paul Moser, with his victory, has picked up some additional fans here in a packed house at Dick Weber Lanes in Florissant, Missouri. And 42-year-old Earl Anthony about to shoot. 42 years of age, 32 titles, more than anyone. But Earl hasn't been winning recently. We talked to him about it
Well, in the last 20 months, I've only won once, and I think the reason could be because I've made some bad shots in key situations on television. I haven't bowled as much as I'd like to over the last year and a half because I got the new bowling center, but this year I expect to bowl a much heavier schedule, and I expect to be some competition for Mark Roth and Marshall Holman.
Well, although Earl has never won a Rolaids title, he's averaged winning better than $4,000 for each of the 5 events. With a big double.
The mark of a great champion, Chris. He made an errant shot in the first frame, got lucky and crossed over, took advantage of it, started with a double, put the pressure on Moser right away.
So Moser now has a strike up shooting in the second. And a powerful answering strike here. 2 frames, 4 strikes. This is the second game. Now the winner to meet Mark Roth, the winner of that semifinal match to meet Tom Baker. Exciting action here in Florissant, Missouri. 5 feet 4, 150 pounds, comparing to Anthony's 6'1" frame and 185 pounds. The 6-7-10 on the left lane.
Moser thought he had that one set up. As we said, he likes to play the set shot as a straight down shot, and he thought it would hold. That left-hand lane, we said, is a little slicker, but that one cut right through.
And for the professionals, the odds are 14-1 that they can convert the 6-7-10. Bad back. Anthony, I don't think he was trying to psych anyone. He just wanted to loosen up his back. So apparently a little twinge there and maybe trying to work it out.
Chris, as we know, Earl used to have knee trouble and had cartilage with his knee, but he has it periodically drained, and he hasn't had any problem at all with that. But I think he slipped a little bit on the approach during his first shot, that crossover in the first frame, and might have pulled a muscle back there. But he's got a 15-pin lead and a double working, so for the big money, he might forget about it on him.
Yeah, he's pretty good at shutting out marginal thoughts. No.
Chris, you saw him twinge and look in his face when he let that ball go. Now, here's the profile on Chris Earl. We've seen it many times, but watch the expression on his face as he comes through the ball. Look at his normal backswing, and there, he's in good position. No pain there, but watch as he comes through. Look at that face. It tightens the muscles up right away. You could see a twinge right there, and he went right by the head pin.
Carry me out of here, Frank.
We might have the alternate go in. Frank Ellenberg is not the alternate anymore. The loser of the first match would be Tom Lasko, could go back in.
That may help, having covered 1, 3, and 9. So it's a spare in the third frame for a great, great champion. Born in the state of Washington. Maybe he'll say something. He's mic'd. Taking more time than usual. That's Earl, mostly silent.
Definitely hurting. The 7-10 split right through the nose. He's in pain. He did not have the zipper speed he normally has on the ball. And I don't think he'll be throw hard enough to even make an attempt at this.
And for Anthony, 74 through the fourth, and he is trailing by 1. We'll be back after this.
Is Gillette foamy thick and rich enough to restrain this rushing roller coaster?
No.
Is foamy thick and rich enough to support this lovely lady?
No.
Is foamy thick and rich enough to hold up this husky hiker?
No. But if you want a clean, close shave, it's more than thick and rich enough.
To a changing world, Granada brings an efficient engine, rack and pinion steering, advanced suspension. The 81 Ford Granada. Size smaller, Mileage, best in its history. Quality, designed with Ford's commitment to quality. During assembly, no less than 38 inspectors examine every single car. The new Granada, built in America for a changing world, from Ford.
Paul Moser, leading by 1, is up and ready to shoot. Seated and hopefully resting his back is Earl Anthony, who, after being questioned by Harry Golden and Frank Esposito, said he was okay. No need for an alternate yet. After an open frame, Moser in the 4th frame. And all but the 3-pin.
Moser in the pocket the first 2 frames, then high in the 3rd, light in the 4th. This definitely doesn't have his rhythm and consistency. And you can see it a lot of times in a pro bowler when they lay one ball short or roll it early at the foul line and loft the next one out. That shows that their timing's a little off.
And Moser uses 15 feet of the approach. Watch his footwork.
And watch how close he slides to the foul line in that arm swing right by that right leg. Right up to the foul line, 5-step delivery, right foot sliding through. Look at that ball right by the leg and only an inch behind the foul line. That's the discipline and consistency you need to be a pro bowler. Moser taking a little extra time, something on the side bothered him. You know, Chris, if we would ever have a breakdown where one of the lanes would not work, we would move to the left lane, just left of the TV pair.
There we had a pen. Let's look at the leaders by round. The defending champion did well for a while here, Bo, and very popular Alvin Liu. You see he was leading the first 3, then Mark Roth. But Tom Baker of Buffalo came out to lead the final round. He's our tournament leader, waiting in the wings.
Caught Mark Roth in the 42nd final game last night, an exciting match. Moser, he leads by 1, 5th frame.
Coming up high, and he left the 2-7 on the left lane.
When you see your ball breaking through sharply like that, and you hope it sets up, and here you see the 2-7 ball cutting through. It's a baby split for the left-handers. It's usually the reason that you have that high hit like that is that you're laying the ball down at the foul line. It's great if the lanes are real slick and you want to get the ball to finish to lay it at the foul line. But once you've found your groove, you want to get a little loft and lift it out over the lanes about 12 inches, right over the foul line.
For the professionals, 2-1, they make it. Oh, the split. 2-7. Converted by Moser. And now Anthony twisting at the waist as sustaining an injury in lower back. After an open now, he'll be shooting in the 5th frame. This is our second game. If you just joined us, Paul Moser defeated Tom Lasko 192 to 171 in our first match. The winner of this game will meet Mark Roth.
Hard as I can throw it.
Well, he said as hard as he can throw.
That's not bad, right?
He is mic'd. And, of course, in order to do that, the player, the professional, has to agree to being mic'd.
Makes it much interesting, more interesting for the fans.
Boy, he'd love a double here. So now, Earl Anthony, who had the lead by as much as 15, is back leading by 11 because of the double. Moser is up, converted the 2-7 split, now shooting in the 6th frame, second game.
Just completely out of time. Moser raised up at the line, no accuracy at all, pulled it right at the pocket. I don't know if it's just because the pressure of bowling Earl Anthony. You know, it's a little different when you're bowling the top player, especially a fellow left-hander. Moser bowled excellent against Lasko, but is struggling against Anthony. Trails by 12.
Spare in the 6th for Moser, who said he'd worked hard on his control and timing. Because he liked the shot here, but he's trailing by 12 now. He won the first game, 192. to 171, and in the event that he should be needed as an alternate, Tom Lasko, who lost in the first game, has been warming up off to our right.
The alternate for the next game on television automatically is the player that lost the previous game.
Seven pin.
Pin rolling around, almost knocked the 7 over. The fans still rooting for it, but that was Moser's best shot in 4 frames. He's got it back together now, and if he can just keep the ball in the pocket and keep the pressure on Anthony.
One of the Hall of Famers watching along with you is Ray Bluth. And Paul Moser marking his spare in the 7th frame as Earl Anthony leads by 13. We'll take a break.
We're not just a couple of animals who can only play football. We can be civilized, too.
Tennis is sophisticated, but you still got to be fast on your feet. So we still drink light beer from Miller. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer, and it's less filling.
And it really tastes great.
Now that we've played singles, we're looking for a nice, friendly game of doubles.
Tennis, anyone?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Gee, Ollie, this windshield's so messy, I can't see. We need new wiper blades.
I know that.
Make sure your windshield wipers work when you need them. A new set of Anco wiper blades every year is a quick and inexpensive way to see your way clear.
Ollie, without new Anco wipers, we could have been hit by that piano. Oh. Piano? No!
Hottest competitor on tour, Mark Roth, will meet the winner of the Anthony Moser match. 5 tournaments he's bowled in, although this is our 6th stop. He missed one. He's been 1, 2, 3, 4 in the previous tournaments, so he's waiting there as a semifinalist to meet the winner of this match. Anthony, who hurt his back on the 2nd ball of this match, seems to be okay. Double working.
Come on, ball.
3-bagger. 23-pin lead now. Susie is happy.
And by far Earl's best shot in the whole match. You can see from this low trajectory down about the 10th board on the left-hand side. Solid in the pocket. Watch the action on the left side. The 4-pin taking out the 7. Trademark of Anthony. Smooth, methodical, a master of hand position and speed control.
This is the 8th frame of our 2nd game. 4 in a row. There's Ray Bluth. What a competitor, Bo.
St. Louis and Hall of Famer, one of the greatest bowlers to ever live. Here enjoying the finals at Dick Weber Lanes. Moser, 8th frame, trails by 33. Has to get it going here to put some pressure on Anthony.
And he does just that with a strike in the 8th frame of our 2nd game. And Debbie, his wife.
Debbie knows the score. She's looking over the side to the telescore, or score unit that the pros look at. Here we go. 33-pin deficit. Moser can cut to 23 pins. 9th frame, crucial situation. A must situation for Moser.
All right. Carefully placing himself left lane. Nope, all but the 3.
Definitely in trouble. He's opened the door wide open for Anthony. The 3-pin on a light shot. He just did not get the lift on that ball. The best Moser can bowl if he spares here and strikes out is 2:01. Earl Anthony is now going at a 2:24 pace. So Anthony doesn't have it locked up, but he's got the match well in hand. As our statistician Palmer Falgren said, he'd like to have Anthony open up a 33-pin lead for him and then go in as the alternate and see if he can finish the match. Anthony, 4-bagger working, can extend his lead to 43 here in the 9th frame with another strike.
Anthony, winner of 32 PBA titles. Always high in the averages, usually at the top. With 5 in a row, he is something.
Well, that muscle spasm that he must have had in the first 4 frames did affect his shot, but the last 5 frames have just been perfect. That nice, smooth, methodical rhythm. Anthony going at a 2:34 pace now, can still get 2:54.
And Anthony, he's going to relish the next match because it was Mark Roth that beat him in the Showboat Invitational. Earl finishing second, and Roth will be his opponent here in Florissant, Missouri.
For millions who can get dull and drowsy from antihistamines, new Vicks Daycare Capsules is a better cold's medicine.
Hold it. Can Daycare relieve coughing like this?
Nothing's better for coughing, and Daycare does it without dulling antihistamines.
But can Daycare decongest sinus passages as well as this?
Yes, it can.
Headaches like this?
Headaches like that.
Fever.
Fever.
Stop.
Nose. So why risk antihistamine drowsiness with them when for all these major cold symptoms, nothing works better than Daycare?
Body aches.
Body aches.
STP, a big name in racing for nearly 20 years. STP oil treatment on the track in some of the world's most expensive engines. Around the track, around the world, every day, tens of thousands of people get STP oil treatment. Get it for your car. Satisfaction guaranteed. Around the track, around the world, STP oil treatment is #1.
Flight operations, Hawaiian Islands.
155 is the go, Bird. And the green stripe runner. Bring up 155 on #2 elevator. Cloud top to 28,000 feet. Alpha Hotel, your wind is down the deck at 28 knots.
The Navy. Over 75% of our jobs give you technical training. Get one.
Launch aircraft. And clear.
Speak to your local recruiter or call this toll-free number. Navy. It's not just a job. It's an adventure.
Wound up first.
The AMF Magic Score Open, the Cleveland Open, and then we go down to the third of the Triple Crown. It'll be in Toledo, Ohio for the PBA National Championship. And on to the second Miller Tournament of the year, the Miller High Life Open in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
And here in our second match, third match will meet Mark Roth. Anthony in the second match bowled a 254 with 10 strikes. Moser shot a 191. So we have a replay of what happened at the Showboat Invitational. Roth and Anthony coming up. Let's look at the top 10 money winners, Bo. Some awesome figures.
Holman off to a sensational start. Did not cash in this tournament this week. 42nd spot went to the great Dick Weber, our host. He won a $1,030. As you can see, Schlegel, he was close again this week. Jay Robinson up there, our tournament leader this week. Tom Baker, steady George Pappas, the new PBA president, and Richard Martinez, who we saw in the Quaker State Open, round out the top 10 after 5 weeks.
And there he is, Hall of Famer Dick Weber, co-owner the Dick Weber Lanes here in Florissant, Missouri. Doesn't he look great, that red carnation? And the red tie, Valentine's Day present.
26 PBA titles. He won $1,030 this week, and his son Pete, who is the Rookie of the Year, picked up a $299 game, high game of the week.
Third match, a dream match. Earl Anthony, who had 10 strikes, shooting 254, now going against Mark Roth. Anthony, who finished with 8 in a row, adds another.
Definitely has his groove, but these two guys have played against each other so many times. Two of the toughest men on the Pro Bowlers Tour. Mark Roth, Earl Anthony, classic matchup.
So we're even, and Mark Roth, if he can win his second championship here, he would be the new money leader. We talked to Mark.
I bowled well in St. Louis because of lack of finish, and I also grew up on lacquer at home, and it gives me an idea of how to bowl out on tour when we have lacquer conditions.
Okay. Usually little talkative Mark Roth. just slid by, leaving the 1, 2, and the 8.
We said the left-hand lane's a little stiffer and doesn't hook quite as much. Roth, playing them both the same, found out that result. Slid right by the head pin. And to tag what Mark had to say about learning to bowl on lacquer, Mark is only 29 years old, but he learned to bowl 15 years ago, back before they had urethane, so he feels right at home in the lacquer surfaces that don't break that much.
And Roth marking with a spare in the second frame, and Anthony is up. You just joined us, Earl Anthony. Apparently a muscle spasm, left lower back. Let's see if he says anything going to the line.
Come on, ball.
And the ball did what he wanted it to do. So he finished with 8. He is open with 2 here in the semifinal game. Now has taken a 10-pin lead against Mark Roth's thumb that looks nasty.
Well, he keeps it pretty well patched up. A lot of that is artificial covering over a wound he suffered at the Quaker State Open. But Earl, the master of concentration, talks himself into a rhythm.
Three-bagger. That'll get the adrenaline really flowing now.
Trips the 6. Watch the 3-pin go to the sideboard, get between the 6 and 10, and do the damage. Great break for Earl Anthony.
Now Roth. Spare working, 3rd frame. All but the 10.
Chris, last week at the U.S. Open down in Houston, Mark had a lot of trouble, as everyone knows. He leaves the 10-pin, a weak 10 on this shot. Watch the 6-pin, a right-hand part of your screen, and just lay down the channel. To finish up what he bowled last week, Mark just said he didn't have his concentration. He was going a little too fast on the approach. This week, he's just taking a little more time. You can go too slow, but you also can go too fast.
And Mark Roth, who last week lost to Marshall Holman in '79 when he won his 2nd Rolaids Open, he beat Holman 275 to 227. 12-year career, and Nelson, you'd have to say that is consistency.
The only 2 players to win over $700,000 on the PBA Tour. It's going to be interesting to see which one of them gets to $1 million first, Mark Roth or Earl Anthony.
Leaving the 1, 2, 4, 10 on the left lane, Mark Roth.
Mark a bit confused. The ball slides by. As we said earlier, the left-hand lane, the pine area downtown the lane does not break very sharply. As you can see, Roth's ball did not break up to the pocket as expected.
That's the way to shoot it for the pros. Odds 2 to 1. Here it is. So it's an open frame for Mark Roth in the 4th in this semifinal game. Anthony leads by 36 pins. We'll be back after this.
Inside Firestone's newest 721 radial are 2 belts of steel cord. In each cord, 10 strands of high-strength steel. 7 strands around 2, wrapped by 1. 721. Because it's a metric radial, it can use more air, so you use less gas. We call it the Fuel Fighter, designed to save you more gas than any steel-belted radial tire Firestone has ever built. Firestone's newest 721, the Fuel Fighter.
Today, bowling's more fun than ever, especially with AMF Magic Score. You knock 'em down, Magic Score adds 'em up. So this weekend, why not bring a friend bowling? You'll enjoy it even more with AMF Magic Score.
Oh, it's an exciting wide world today, live from Panama City, Panama. Pedrosa Ford Championship fight, and then ladies skiing in Zwiesel, West Germany, Women's World Cup. Wide world today. Anthony, 3 in a row.
Earl Anthony has 11 strikes in a row.
And it's a 6-pin in his victory over Paul Moser, 254 with 191. He opened with 2 strikes, then finished with 8.
The shot Earl Anthony carried in the third frame was the trip 6. The fourth frame, he doesn't get that break. See, the 3-pin went to the sideboard, just took out the 10, and did not get the 6. Anthony, a 35-pin lead with a conversion here.
So Earl Anthony with a spare in the fourth frame, leading by 35.
And as he let go of that ball, you could hear that microphone he has on. He said, ow. So apparently his back is still hurting him. Earl's wife, Susie, watching the action. I guess wondering about his back, but also counting the money at this point.
Earl is up for nomination into the PBA Hall of Fame this year. I would think he might make it.
That's known as a shoe-in.
So he opened with 3, 99 through the fourth with a strike up in the fifth.
42 games, 42 positions they paid this week. Dick Weber got the last spot with $1,030. Mark Roth trails by 35 pins.
It just didn't come up.
Roth just could not get that ball to finish on these lanes. Frank Ellenberg was 6, just missed. Jay Robinson steady again. Paul Caldwell says he's going to win one this winter. He's looking sharp. Alvin Lou, the defending champion, who had an early lead. Mal Acosta right up there. Jimmy Certain will be at his hometown for the AMF Classic next week. Charlie Tapp steady. Cliff McNeely bowling excellent this winter.
And missing on the 1-2-8, leaving the 8, and now Anthony's lead is 46 pins.
Mark Roth just not carrying the double wood, leaves the 8-pin. The 2-pin goes right by it. And I'll tell you, Chris, I've never seen Mark so lackadaisical.
No.
You know, we're bowling for a lot of money out here, and he's just not taking his time. He's making foolish mistakes. Mark Roth, probably the best natural bowler I've ever seen, is not working hard out there.
After 2 opens, a strike. You recall last week he had 3 open frames in a row, 4 total, and that is not the Mark Roth. Seems like he's hurrying everything.
Speed up.
Strike up, shooting in the 6th frame.
Dale Glenn bowling well. Gil Sliker, Fred Jasky, and Jim Lipsitz, his brother, Dr. Tom Lipsitz, a clinical psychologist, gave a clinic here covered by John Archibald, the Post-Dispatch. Really had a lot of positive attitudes to it. Denny Campbell bowling well. Henry Gonzalez. Leroy Bornhoff, who is from the tough Midwestern region, headed up by Don McLaren. Hugh Miller, the former Quaker State champion, 21st. Randy Lightfoot, Billy Walden's protege up there. Kenny Hall. Billy George filled in for Roy Buckley, who couldn't finish.
Get up, get up.
How did the 7 ever stand?
As you heard Anthony say, get up. He could have really knocked Mark Roth out with that one. Anthony, with a commanding 55-pin lead, could have extended it to 66 with that strike.
Missed by more than a quarter of a board.
Quarter of a board.
That's 60 feet away, pal.
Yes.
That's pretty sharp.
No. After a double, a spare in the 7th frame, 148 through the 6th for Earl Anthony. Now Mark Roth. After 2 opens, a strike in the 6th, shooting in the 7th. Crossing over, leaving the 6th.
Mark, who studies this game with videotape, is going to have to look at this telecast and last week, Chris. I've never seen him so erratic. That particular ball, he just turned and hooked as much as he possibly could. From the low-held camera, the trajectory, the ball breaking very sharply going on the 1-2 side. I guess not a bad hat for Anthony, but not too good for Roth.
Speed to spare. And in the Rolaids Open, look at his record. 2 victories, a 4th, an 11th, and a 28th. $37,400.
And if he doesn't strike on this ball or get on the stick, barring any collapse by Anthony, he's going to have another 3rd to add to his list because he's in trouble, trailing by 55 pins, 8th frame.
You know, Nelson, Bowling tip of the week this week, which follows this game, is on concentration. And I think in all professional sports, occasionally you see people that just lose it nearly completely.
Here's a man that hasn't lost it.
Come on, ball, finish.
So there's 7 in the 8th frame, 167 through 7, 54-pin lead.
Said it, he threw it as good as he could. Solid 7. Right at it. Don't give it room, he said.
He liked that. And consistently making those spares. There you see the story. Earl Anthony, in his second game, the semifinal prior to the championship match, leading by 54.
Projecting, if Earl Anthony needs one mark, either in the 9th or 10th frame, to shut out Mark Roth. Anthony going at a 227 pace. Good speed. As he said, good speed on the left-hand lane. Keep the speed up.
Stay out. Stay out. Hit it. All right.
Okay. 187 through the 8th. The strike in the foundation frame.
Roth, the best he can do is 203.
A6. So Earl Anthony, with a commanding lead, has gone on to win his second match today. He will meet the tournament leader, Tom Baker of Buffalo, New York. At stake in that match will be $16,000 to the winner. So coming up next, stay tuned for the Anthony Baker match as the Pro Bowlers Tour will continue after this message from one of our sponsors and station identification. Stay tuned.
We call this the cinder block 4 pickup. And you know that 4x4 gas mileage is an uphill battle. But this is a 1981 Ford. It combines toughness with the best gas mileage ratings of all 6-cylinder 4x4 pickups. And it's the only American-built pickup with independent front suspension to step over bumps independently. This year, Ford's got it. Toughness and mileage. Come in now and check out the deals during your Ford dealer's big leadership celebration.
There's Dan and Ellen Fields. He's editor of our local newspaper. He looks worried about his problem dandruff. I wish he'd ask me.
Mr. Owen, what shampoo should Dan use for his problem dandruff?
Ellen, how about Tegrin?
It works on itching and flaking?
In a national survey, 3 out of 4 dermatologists judge Tegrin's medication effective in fighting even problem dandruff.
Let's try it out.
How's Dan's problem dandruff?
Tegrin's terrific news, Mr. Owens.
Prove it to yourself. Tegrin works.
Sunday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain. Nothing will stop Jaws 2.
Earl Anthony now moves into the championship match against Buffalo, New York's Tom Baker by virtue of a 227 to 182 victory over Mark Roth. Our mini-series continues, our Rolaids Bowling Tip of the Week with Nelson Burton Jr. And today, Bo is concentrating on something that not only helps the professionals, but it'll help you even more, and that is simply concentration.
The Pro Bowlers Tour Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
The sport of bowling is much more than physical execution. It is a game of tremendous mental preparation and concentration. For you viewers that don't bowl every day like the pros, you should think of your concentration as a mental checklist. You should check yourself on the 4 basic principles of the game of bowling. The first point you should ask yourself, do I have the proper starting position, or do I have to adjust from my previous shot? The next point to consider, is the elbow locked and my arm close to the body? Point number 3, is your hand at the proper position at the point of release? And lastly, are your eyes on the target throughout the approach? And remember, hold your follow-through until the ball is well down the lane. If you concentrate and employ all these elements in your game, you'll see your average rise, and you're bound to enjoy the game of bowling more.
We asked Roger Staubach to find out how people spell relief.
How do you spell relief? For heartburn, Roger, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Relief from acid indigestion, R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids really does spell relief.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
How do you spell relief?
I spell it R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
And here in the 6th Rolaids Open at the Dick Weber Lanes, it's the championship match. Earl Anthony has won 2 in a row and now goes against the tournament leader from Buffalo, New York, 26-year-old Tom Baker. Anthony defeating Mark Roth 227 to 182 with 7 strikes. In the previous game, he defeated Paul Moser 254 to 191. Moser defeated Lasco in the first game 192 to 171, and this is for $16,000.
What a break. What a break. Hit it. All right, take it.
Earl Anthony mic'd today, and it's a 4-pin on the left lane.
Through the shot.
Pulled up on that shot and just did not get the extension.
While I was down in the approach, setting up your valuable tip, Bo, I asked him about his back, and he said, no, it wasn't a spasm. He didn't know what it was. But since having a little back problem, he's rolled 16 strikes and 2 wins. Now, Tom Baker, 5'8", 150 pounds, 1 PBA title, the Northern California Open. Off at the 5, and here's what Baker had to say about his one-game strategy.
No, I don't think there's a different strategy today. I feel that the guy winning the previous match has an advantage because he's got the feel of the lanes. And then in a one-game match, the breaks can go for you or against you real quick.
Okay. Tom Baker, who is 8th on the money list this year, having won $11,650. Off to a good start. And covers the 5.
Tom Baker, one of the most consistent players on the PBA Tour, and you can tell with that ideal style he has. He's very rhythmic, and he doesn't try to overpower the lanes. He plays well within himself.
His hobby is hockey. Not only watching it, but playing it. Tom Baker of Buffalo. And we are live from Florissant, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. Beautiful strike. And your right-handers can learn from Tom, and with a strike in the second, Anthony will be shooting in the second with a spare up.
Some speed on it now. Come on.
There's Bob Temmey with the glasses on in the right corner, co-owner of the lanes with Dick Weber.
Break. Get a break. Yeah.
Anthony, first strike, second frame.
One of the reasons Earl Anthony is so consistent and probably the most accurate bowler on the Pro Bowlers Tour is his steady head. Now watch how he never moves that head all the way. The arm's moving, the body's moving. Look at that head. Never moves. He doesn't even feather his hair. It's so smooth. Earl Anthony with 20 consecutive balls in the 1-2 pocket.
Let's do it right. Good speed.
Stay out there. Come on.
Another 7.
Watch this pin on the left side of your screen. The 4 flying around the 7. That's the solid 7. When we call it a weak hit is when the pin lays down in the channel. That being for the left-hander would have been the 4 pin laying in the channel. When it flies around, it's a solid hit. Not much you can do about it.
Come on now, cover your spares. Attaboy. All right.
Very interesting. That's advice he gives to himself and also to average bowlers.
So how quickly he knew the result. He let the ball go, and he said, "That a boy."
Now Baker using the full approach on the right lane. He has a strike up. Chance to go ahead. No, the bucket on the right lane.
Tommy Baker, really a nice style. Smooth push away, locked arm swing. Shoulders level. Watch how his balance is so smooth. His shoulders right over his hips, right over his knees. Arm locked close to his body, and a good long follow through. Tommy just overplayed the lane a little bit. This is the first week we've bowled on lacquer this year, and the players are used to a little sharper break at the back end.
And the young man who finished third in the Miller High Life Classic in Anaheim, California, our first show this year, shows you how to cover the bucket.
Once again, you can see the ball going down and in. First 5 weeks, we bowled a urethane finish. Dick Weber prefers the lacquer finish. Both of them are good. Match is all even.
4th frame. Strike in the 4th for Baker in a very tight championship match. We're going to take a break and then return to Florissant, Missouri. Dick Weber Lanes after this.
David Lacey keeps an eye on nature for Dutch Master cigars. In this Caribbean aging room, he's checking fine tobacco naturally fermenting.
Right.
If it's too dry, it ferments too slowly. If it's too warm, it overheats and ferments too quickly.
Okay. I'll turn it today.
But a master like Lacey can make nature behave, so fine tobacco can become a fine cigar.
Needs a little more time.
Try our president. There really are masters at Dutch Masters.
People across America.
Grandpa, I'm coming to see you.
New York to LA. They're leaving their cars at home and going the Greyhound way. No need to worry about driving when there's someone you can trust.
Next trip, leave your car at home and your troubles behind.
Go Greyhound and leave the driving to us.
We're back again. Dick Weber Lanes. The man in the striped shirt is the holder of 32 PBA titles. Earl Anthony's won 2 games already. Now he's in the final match. And despite some sort of injury to his back, the left side, he's bowling well, spare up, shooting in the 4th.
The deft touch of Earl Anthony. Watch this smooth, rhythmic arm swing. Watch as the ball comes right by his right foot, right next to his ankle. You can see the trajectory just inside the second arrow, solid in the pocket. Hard to improve on a shot like that. Match all even after 4 frames.
And thus far here in our live coverage from Florissant, Missouri, he has stroked 19 strikes.
Finish.
Another 7.
Go around it, you know better now.
We saw the solid 7 in the third frame. As we said, the 4-pin flew around the 7. That is what we call the weak 7, or the weak hit. The ball did not finish as sharply as it did in the third frame, and a 4-pin lays in the channel. Often you'll catch that hit, but it's not very dependable. Both players going spare strike, spare strike.
Come on, make your spares.
And, Bo, great advice for all of us. He keeps talking about make that spare. Be careful. A lot of average bowlers don't follow that advice.
Chris, it's a great concentration Earl has, and when you don't have open frames, you're never down on yourself. You're always in the match. Tommy Baker likes to fiddle with those holes to get just the right feel on the bowling ball. Can take the lead with a double here.
Sliding by, leaving the 2-8.
Once again, he expected the right-hand lane to break a little sharper, and it didn't. The 2-8.
Let's replay it.
He doesn't catch it all. The ball sliding by out about the 10th board. Now he wants that sharp break. Doesn't come up. Gets a good break with a head pin. Watch you go to the sideboard and take out the 4, 7, and the 5. Needs to convert the 2-8 to keep the match all even.
All right. Spare in the 5th as they're bowling for $16,000. The winner, the runner-up, will get 9. Coming up next, WBA World Featherweight Championship, Pedrosa against Patrick Ford. Then the excitement of World Cups skiing from West Germany. Kristen Cooper and Tamara McKinney take on the world's best. All this on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Chris, as well as those girls are skiing, it's too bad it's not an Olympic year.
Mm-hmm. Big booming strike in the 6th for Tom Baker of Buffalo. Anthony will be shooting in the 6th, the spare working.
Well, if it comes down to the 10th frame, both players are will be on their favorite lane. Earl going through a mental checklist, just talking to himself to remind himself of what he has to do.
Through the 5th with a strike up. Watch this ball.
Just perfect solid in a 1-2 pocket. Not much to say about it. All 10 in the pit. If those were trees down there, you would have knocked them down that time. Scoreboard tells a story. Somebody has to win. It's all even. $16,000 at stake.
All roll, no turn. Just roll it now. Come on, good speed.
That's
roll it
Earl
with good
talking.
speed.
Roll. Yes, yes, yes. No.
4-pin.
Believe it.
The match still all even with this spare. Gets a good break here. Breaks up the 4-6 split. Watch.
Cover your scores. Come on.
Spare in the 7th for Earl Anthony, who's won 2 games already today. If you just joined us, he defeated Mark Roth 227-182, and previous he defeated Paul Moser 254-191. And this is the tournament later. Strike up, and he can take the lead with another.
This is a pivotal frame for Tom Baker. He's been light twice on this lane. He has to make the adjustment with his feet on the approach about a board to the right.
So now the deadlock has been broken, and this is the final head-to-head match live. Baker with a 10-pin lead, a double working, shooting on the left lane now in the 8th frame.
Tommy Baker with a very aggressive shot there. Just ripped the 5 out, leads by 10. If he can hit the good lane, the lane he's had so much success on, the left-hand lane, he could extend his lead to 20. Just fiddles with those holes until he gets a good, positive feel.
6-10 on the left lane.
As often happens, he worked so hard on the right-hand lane, he lost the left-hand lane. 3-6-10, cut right through the nose, avoids the split, and has a reasonably easy spare to maintain a 7-pin lead. Championship round, just 3 frames left. Baker, 1 PBA title. Earl Anthony, 32.
Coverage of the Professional Bowlers Tour will originate in Peoria, Illinois. Spare up, shooting in the 8th, Anthony.
Get a break, please. Oh, my. Good break there.
Right through the beak, carries a nosedive. He said, get a break on that mic he's carrying with him, and he got a break. You cannot get much of a better break than that. Avoided a disastrous split and was paid a reward.
Look at Tom Baker.
Here comes the crucial frame. He trails by 7, has a strike working, needs to put the pressure on Tommy Baker with a double.
Come on, baby. Hit.
What a champion. Doubling. That one in the foundation frame. Earl Anthony.
Don't count this young man out. Great physical condition. He's a winner. He's been there before. He won. Trails by 3, 9th frame.
Sliding by, leading the 2, 4, and 8. And Bo, here in Florissant, Missouri, we have some vocal fans. Boy, they root and cheer, don't they?
Well, they know they're bowling here in St. Louis. They know the match. They know that $16,000 at stake with just 2 frames left. Baker has left the combination of the bucket 3 times in this match, has converted every time, needs to do it once more again in the 9th frame. The match is far from over.
Well done. Spare in the 9th frame. Here is the situation.
Earl Anthony going at a 2:10 pace, Baker 2:04. No matter what Baker does, he cannot shut out Anthony, but he needs to get a double here in the 10th and 11th frame to put the pressure on Earl. If Baker marks, he'll at least force Anthony to mark. Championship at stake. 10th frame. Coming up on the lane he's had so much success with, the left-hand lane.
Two 8.
It's not over. He must convert this spare to keep the pressure on Anthony. If he converts it, he'll force Earl Anthony to mark to win the title. Slides by, leaves almost a combination of the bucket. Again, watch the 4-pin go out very late. The 2-8. Must convert this to make Anthony mark. Tommy Baker needs at least 6 pins on this ball to force Earl Anthony to mark. No matter what Baker does, Anthony with a mark will win the match.
And it's 2:02 for Buffalo's Tom Baker, the tournament leader, and an 8-pin lead held by Earl Anthony right now with a double up.
Good speed on the target. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yes, 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 yes. Yes! Right.
33 titles for Earl Anthony. 3 wins today. His first Rolaids Open.
to relax. One beer stands good. If you got the time, we've got the beer.
Steve Martini was the official barber to 4 U.S. presidents, and now at Florida's Boca Raton Hotel.
If anybody should know hair, I should know hair. But this stuff really fooled me.
We're talking to Steve about his customers who use Grecian Formula 16 to get rid of gray.
When he told me he was using Grecian Formula, I couldn't believe it. I thought he had naturally dark hair. I looked at his hair, I pushed it up, I pushed it down. It looks so natural that I can't tell.
Prove it to yourself. Look for the Steve Martini You Just Can't Tell sweepstakes, now at participating stores.
You want your import car to run its best. So insist on top quality Napa brand parts. The trusted name in domestic parts is now the name to trust in import parts. When the name is Napa, the standard is quality.
Susie and Earl Anthony receiving the check. Congratulations from Dick Weber, co-owner here, and Joe Raz of Warner Lambert, makers of Rolaids, presenting the trophy and $16,000. Earl Anthony has won his 33rd title. A man with 26s on the left, the Hall of Famer, both PBA and ABC, Dick Weber. And Anthony gets another handshake. Deserves it. 3 wins, 23 strikes. Did a great job.
Beautiful trophy, especially with
All this happening from Florissant, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. 6th time we've been here, and for the first time, Earl Anthony wins a Rolaids Open. Stay tuned for ABC's Wide World of Sports, featuring the WBA World Featherweight Championship fight live from Panama City and Women's World Cup skiing from West Germany. Travel arrangements made through a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what Friendly Skies are all about. This has been